All right. Well, thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm Linda Ankner, I'm a registered dietitian, and today I'm going to be, like Ashley mentioned, talking to you about how to create a better attitude. New year, new attitude towards health, and I'm going to walk you through some processes on how to create SMART goals for better health. And Ashley mentioned a couple of worksheets. We've put them in the chat for you. You're welcome to kind of look through those as I talk through the presentation. Towards the middle, I'll share my screen and kind of go over them with you. But as I kind of talk through creating SMART goals, you may be able to utilize those worksheets to kind of start getting your thought processes in order as well. So our agenda for today, we're going to kind of talk about what health goals are and why they're important, the different types of health goals, and how we can turn a health goal into a SMART goal. And if you're not familiar with that acronym, I'll go through that with you as well. And then we're just going to I'm going to walk you through some brainstorming techniques to help you really nail down a very specific goal to help you work towards better health. Okay, so why create health goals? Well, first and foremost, goals will help you prioritize your health and definitely help to spur motivation. So if you have a specific thing that you're working towards, if you have a time limit on something that you're working towards, something that you can measure progress against, things like that, those have been proven to show that you can achieve your goals and actually stay on track a lot better. So having your goals thought out, written out, and written into a SMART format are definitely going to help to spur your motivation and make change feel possible. And so I'm going to show you during the presentation how to kind of break down your goals and even to even smaller kind of bite-sized goals. Because I really am a big proponent of sort of setting small goals, sort of getting that kind of low-hanging fruit to help spur confidence and motivation. Because once you achieve a goal, it makes you feel very proud of yourself. When you can kind of see the progress that you've made, it helps to build confidence. And so kind of starting small and ramping up, I feel like is a lot more effective way to do that. And so that is definitely going to make change possible. And then when you have your goals written out and in a place where you can measure your progress, you will actually see the progress. So what exactly are health goals? So health and wellness are very broad terms. And when we're talking about health and wellness in terms of taking care of diabetes or managing diabetes, we're definitely talking about goals that can encompass both body and mind. So maybe not just physical goals, but also goals related to your emotional health, to your social health, to your mental health. And so I'm going to kind of walk you through a couple of different types of goals throughout this presentation, physical goals, and also one that might lean more towards like a more mental wellness. I consider 4 pillars of health, and I kind of look at them as a very kind of circular unit. So usually when we're thinking about health, we're thinking about movement, nutrition, stress management, and sleep quality. And when you're thinking about those pillars in sort of like a circle, if you start with one, a lot of the times it sort of has this domino effect on the other. So let's say that maybe your overall goal is to exercise more in the new year. Like that's just your broad, thought process going into the new year. So if you are starting to, create goals that are geared towards increasing your physical activity, you may notice that as you get into it, you have more energy. When you have more energy, maybe it spurs you to create more healthier meals for yourself during the day. When you're able to create these healthy meals and you have more energy, typically you're able to sleep better. And when you sleep better, you can typically manage your stress better. So you can kind of see where they're all related, and maybe picking one, you may kind of see some peripheral aspects and changes in some of those other pillars. Creating health goals, it will also help you to create better habits. And so the long and short of this entire presentation is really we're creating goals so that we can create healthy habits, because the healthy habits are what create healthy bodies. And we want our health goals to lead you to a lifestyle change, but not necessarily change your complete identity. So talking about the 3 different types of health goals, I mentioned you have your physical health, your mental health, and your social health. So what kinds of goals would sort of fall into those different categories? So physical health could be pretty obvious, maybe including more strength training, walking for 30 minutes a day, including vegetables at every meal. Mental health could be strategies for getting better sleep or creating a sleep routine. Maybe you want to really focus on sleep this year. Creating a self-care routine, creating work-life boundaries. And social health could be things like improving your listening skills to become a better or more active listener. Maybe you want to learn to set boundaries in your personal relationships or develop more meaningful friendships. And all of these things, whether they encompass your physical health, mental health, or social health, are definitely going to attribute to better, overall health and wellness, which can contribute to lowering your disease risk and improving your numbers with your diabetes, whether it's your A1C, or maybe even getting you to a place where you're weaning yourself off of certain medications. So like I said, they're all kind of interconnected with each other. So creating health goals doesn't necessarily have to be just focusing on exercise and nutrition. Okay, that being said, I'm going to kind of go into a little bit more detail with those 4 pillars of health. These are the 4 pillars of areas where I kind of see most people wanting to focus on when they do start to create goals with the new year. Moving more, or moving differently, or moving more effectively. Improving your nutrition, typically, focusing more on including more fruits and vegetables, maybe less processed foods, and then improving your sleep quality. And like I mentioned before, maybe that's creating a sleep routine, which all sort of ties into stress management, which could focus on things that maybe fall under more of those sort of mental health or social health goals. But as you can see, all of these things connected will help you to create better habits, which in turn help to create a better, healthier body. Okay. And so one of the handouts that we have available for you is, I want to make sure I have the title right, the SMART Goals Worksheet. So you can kind of reference both of these handouts as I go through the next several slides. But when we're thinking about creating effective, SMART health goals for the new year, it really is a kind of something that you want to spend a little time on and really sort of think through. And so some important things to think about when you're thinking about making changes is number one, your readiness for change. And so on that SMART Goals worksheet, there is a scale from 1 to 10 where you can kind of, when you start brainstorming, you can think about where you are on that scale from 1 to 10, like how ready are you to make that particular change right now in the moment. If you are leaning for, 5 or less, maybe thinking through what would it take to become more ready. And then also considering how do you sustain your motivation so that you can keep your goal active for the whole year or until you meet the goal. Also, things to consider are your needed support. So who can you rely on to support your efforts? Or what resources do you have available to you to help support in your effort? The flip side of that is maybe who or what might hinder your efforts and how you can go about getting past that hurdle, maybe it's not discussing certain goals with certain people if you feel like they're not going to be supportive, or they're going to maybe add some negativity. And definitely asking for what you need. So whether that is your personal relationships, or maybe even groups like the Diabetes Association of Atlanta, like knowing what resources are available to you to meet your goals and how to ask for help when you need it. And then I feel like this is probably the most important consideration to change is, do you have a growth mindset? And when I think of a growth mindset, I'm definitely thinking of a positive attitude, kind of understanding that even if you do all of the things that we talk about, there are going to be instances or times where, the goal is going to not get met, or be hard to do. And so how do you pivot to still stay motivated and kind of change the way that you're thinking or the goal that you have, to still produce that ultimate outcome? And then also, that goes along with changing how you think, and committing to the effort, not just the outcome. So I have this in a couple different places throughout the presentation. I'm going to kind of come back to this mantra. So let's say that your overall ultimate goal is to bring your A1C down. So maybe you're thinking you want to bring your A1C down 2 decimal points this year. That's your goal. So that's sort of your outcome. And so we're going to learn how to create SMART goals that are going to create healthy habits, that are going to create a healthy body, that are going to get you to your outcome. So the effort is the habits that you're creating to get to that point. And what if you get that to the end of the year and you didn't meet that overarching goal of getting your A1C down 2 decimal points? I'll tell you what you did do. If you stuck to your goals, you became a healthier person because you created a healthier habit. So maybe it only moved 1 decimal point. That is not something that you should be disappointed about, because you focused on the effort and creating those healthy habits to get you a healthier body. And maybe the outcome wasn't exactly what you kind of set for yourself, but the fact that you were able to maintain healthy habits, new and different healthy habits throughout the year, is definitely something to be proud and excited about. Because maybe you decreased your risk of certain types of cancers, or maybe you created these healthy habits, and even though your A1C didn't move exactly how you were expecting it to move, maybe you had some other progress in your diabetes management. Okay, so if you are not familiar with the SMART goal, I'm going to go into some detail with that here. It's an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, or realistic, and timely. And you definitely want your goals to be concrete and tangible. We do not want vague goals. Measurable, your goal has to have an objective measure of success. You have to be able to measure your progress. And I also recommend having sort of pit stops along the way throughout the year to test your progress and make sure that you're on the right track and you're staying on the right track, or that you may need to, pivot your goal. Attainable is very important. It kind of goes along with the relevant and realistic as well. Your goal should be challenging, but it also needs to be achievable with the available resources. And so again, I always like to kind of start with some smaller bite-sized goals to build that motivation and that confidence, and then start to kind of blossom your goals out from there. Relevant or realistic, you want the goal to be meaningful and contribute to your overall effort, which is to be a healthier person. And timely, the goal definitely has to have a deadline or timeline so that you can measure your progress milestones. Okay, so what does all that mean? Let's break down this goal. So the vague goal is kind of what I sort of mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. I will be more active in the new year. Okay, why is that not a good goal? It is very vague. It could mean anything. Active, what does that mean? More active than what? Than I was last year. In the new year, is that the whole year? Is that just January. This doesn't really give us a whole lot to work with. So a better way or a smarter way to write that goal would be, I will walk at a moderate pace for 30 minutes, 4 days a week for the next 3 months. So you can see the specificity of that is walking at a moderate pace. So you're being specific about what you're doing. You're walking, and you're being even more specific. You're going to do a moderate pace. And so maybe that is a moderate pace for you is getting your heart rate up to where it's a little challenging to have a conversation while you walk. Measurable is that you are stating that you're going to walk for 30 minutes, 4 days a week for 3 months. And so the 3 months is kind of what I was speaking about when I was saying, having bite-sized goals or smaller segments. Dedicating 3 months can sometimes feel a little easier than saying you're going to do this for the rest of the year. You can kind of check in with yourself at the end of that 3 months and see, does 30 minutes work for me? Does 44 days a week work for me? Maybe at the end of 3 months, you realize you've built up some stamina. Maybe the 4 days is really great, but you want to add an extra 15 minutes. So you're going to bump it up to 45 minutes. Maybe the goal is great, but the pace could be bumped up a little bit. So, it just kind of gives you a point to stop and sort of measure your progress and see where you are. Attainable. Walking for 4 days a week seems a lot more attainable and realistic than maybe saying that you're going to walk 7 days a week. It also gives you some wiggle room too. I like to also kind of talk about an 80-20 mentality, where you're doing all the things and working all your habits 80% of the time and giving yourself a little grace that other 20% of the time. For most people, it is pretty unrealistic to expect to do anything all day, every day. So setting a more attainable or realistic goal of 4 days a week might be a better way to start. And then fitting exercise in 30 minutes, 4 days a week, for some people may seem a lot more manageable than, an hour or, like I said, doing it every day. And then, of course, the timely is the giving yourself the 3 months to check in with yourself. Okay, so how do we get started? So this is another place where we can, I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. I'm going to show you a couple more slides, and then I'll kind of go through the worksheet with you as well. But if you're looking at the worksheet now, you can kind of see where some of these points that I'll be talking about in the next couple of slides can be utilized in your worksheet to help you build your goals. So the first thing to do is just brainstorm wellness areas that you would like to improve. And I would say write down everything, and these can be vague ideas. Write down whatever wellness areas that you want to improve on that you can think of. And then you can go back and sort of prioritize which ones are more important to you, which ones would have the better or be more effective in changing your health, or maybe which one is easier. So some of the things that I've brainstormed for this presentation might be, maybe this year I want to eat more vegetables. I want to eat less processed foods. I want to learn to say no, or maybe it's creating a bedtime routine. So once you've kind of brainstormed your wellness areas that you want to improve on, the next thing to do is to think about, actually the next thing to do would be to narrow that down and prioritize, and maybe pick 2 or 3 that you want to focus on as your main goals. So then once you've got that set up, the next thing to do is really think through potential blockers and solutions to those blockers. I'm going to go through that in more detail in the next couple of slides. But let's just say for eating more vegetables, what would be a potential blocker for that? Well, maybe I don't have time to meal plan. So if I can't meal plan, I can't always make sure that I have the vegetables on hand to prepare. A blocker for eating less processed food is maybe I just don't have time to cook. So the most realistic things for me to gravitate towards are things that are already processed. Learning to say no. A blocker could be I don't want to let people down. So I say yes to everything, and I overwhelm myself. And creating a bedtime routine, what could be a potential blocker? Well, after everyone goes to bed, that's the only time I have to myself. And so going to bed early for me may not work. So, thinking through your potential blockers is what's going to help you create action steps so that you can have effective goals. All right, so I'm going to go into that in these next couple of slides and show you what that looks like. Like I said, this does take a little bit of time. So, if you're working through your brainstorm and you come up with maybe 3 ultimate goals for the year, it may take a little time. Maybe you want to spend a few minutes on each goal, or maybe you want to block out, a half hour of your day to really work through the brainstorming and the identifying blockers and solutions. So I'm going to take 2 of those ideas and turn those into my SMART goals with the steps that we just talked about. So this one I intended it to be for including more vegetables, but it could also be for eating less processed foods. So my SMART goal is that I will meal plan for 3 dinners a week. That will include half a plate of veggies, a lean protein, and a whole grain. And I'm going to commit to do this for 2 months to see how it works. So what are my action steps? What could I actually do to put this goal into action? So my first action step could be, I'm going to download a meal planning app to help spark ideas and stay organized with my recipes and with my planning. And I'm going to do that today. What are potential blockers? Well, it's overwhelming. There are a ton of apps out there. So how do I choose? So my solution will be, I'm just going to Google an article for the top 3 free meal planning apps, and I'm going to read their recommendations, and I'm going to choose one based on that. And that's going to be how I choose. My second action step is to set aside 15 minutes every Saturday morning to plan meals for the following week. My target date is going to be, I'm going to start that on Saturday. What are the potential blockers for that? Well, forgetting to do it. Saturday may come and go, and it's time to go to the grocery store on Sunday, and I didn't meal plan. So my solution for that is to create a reminder on my phone and to actually block time on my calendar so that it is there. It is there for me to do. It's only 15 minutes. I can manage that on a Saturday morning before I grocery shop on Sunday. And then my last action step would be to plan meals on the weeknights that I know I will have time to cook. So this is kind of that attainable and realistic aspect of my goal. I'm not just going to say I'm going to cook 3 meals a week or 3 nights a week, rather. I'm going to specify what days I do that on. And I'm going to do that by looking at my calendar and deciding, okay, my kids have to be this and this and this on these days. So cooking's not going to work on those days. I'm going to choose to do this on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights because those are the nights that I know I have time to create a meal. Or maybe it's 1 weeknight and the 2 weekend nights, whatever it works for you. So what are potential blockers for this? Feeling too tired to cook even on those nights where I've planned it out. So my solution for that is going to be choosing easier meals and using some convenience items. And what I mean by convenience items is maybe utilizing some of the partially made or pre-made dinners or meal portions at the deli section of the grocery store. Maybe it's using frozen or canned fruits and vegetables instead of fresh. Maybe it's buying my produce already washed and chopped and bagged. So whatever can make my life easier and ensure that I'm still getting half a plate of vegetables 3 nights a week, I can definitely do that. It doesn't have to be scratch homemade. It's just not, for me, this goal is putting something on the plate at home that I am putting together, that I didn't order takeout or didn't go through, the drive-through to get. Okay. Did that make sense to everyone? So you can see how really digging into how it's actually going to work, it is time consuming, and it will take a lot of, kind of thinking through. But you can see that putting that kind of effort into it really helps to make it feel more realistic, and a little easier to hopefully achieve. Okay, so this next goal is related to creating a better sleep habit. So, my SMART goal is I will turn off all electronics and get in bed by 10 p.m., 3 weeknights a week for the next 4 weeks. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, let me go back. So here I had, my end time for this particular goal is 2 months. So again, that may not seem like a very long time when you're kind of thinking through goals, but if I'm someone who isn't used to cooking 3 meals a week, that may feel overwhelming. So thinking of it, okay, I'm only going to do this for 2 months and see how it works. That gets the motivation to start. It makes the motivation to start a lot easier. And then at the end of 3 months, I might realize, hey, this was actually really good. I'm going to keep going for another 2 months. I'm going to keep it like it is for another 2 months. Or maybe, it's like, it was a little bit overwhelming. I'm going to scale back to 2 dinners a week for 2 months and see how that works. So that's kind of how you can stay on track with your goals, but also pivot where you need to so that, your goals don't stress you out. Okay, so for this particular goal, I'm going to try it for 4 weeks. I'm going to try it for a month and see how it works. And so the reason I'm doing this goal is because, I have a tendency to not just stay up late, but stay up late, kind of not really doing much of anything. And in my mind, I think that I am really, I'm decompressing and this is how I relax, but it's not really adding any value to, I'm just scrolling social media or whatever. So I want to create better sleep habits for myself because I want to sleep better so that I have more energy during the day and then I can manage my stress better during the day. So my action steps are going to be on the 3 nights that I choose. I'm going to shower and be ready for bed right after dinner. So after I get the kitchen cleaned up, I'm going to go do my routine. I'm going to shower and get ready for bed. I'm going to do these on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights, which will also happen to be the nights that I'm going to cook, because those are the nights that I don't have events going on or things happening. What are potential blockers? Well, feeling like I need to do chores around the house. So that's a big one. And I kind of had to really think, okay, what is my solution for that? Because, I work full time. My husband works. We've got 2 kids. And so a lot of the housework, things around the house, when I come home from work, like sometimes it feels overwhelming or like, I need to get all of this done like right away. Well, I'm deciding this year I'm going to prioritize my sleep. And so one of my solutions for this was maybe to have the family help as much as possible before dinner. So maybe that is creating a chore chart for my kids to see. Maybe it's texting them things that need to get done when they get home from school, things like that. But just trying to maybe delegate a little bit more to the people in my family that can help a little more so that I can rest and relax after dinner. Another action step was going to be to keep all electronics downstairs when I get ready for bed on these 3 nights that I'm going to choose. And again, like I'm only going to do 3 nights because I'm starting small. I'm going to see how that works. And then at the end of 4 weeks, maybe I'll bump it up to more nights. So what is the potential blocker? Well, it's feeling like I might miss something important if I don't have my phone with me, because I don't know how you guys are, but sometimes it feels like another appendage. I feel lost without it. So that again, I had to kind of really think through what is my solution for that. Well, just sort of reminding myself, or I have understanding that in the evening is my time, and if my family is home, then no one really needs to get in touch with me. So it's okay if I leave my phone downstairs as part of my goal to not have my electronics on right before bed. And then my third action step for this goal will be I'll do 5 minutes of breathing exercises once I get into bed to kind of settle my mind and let my body know it's time to rest, it's time to sleep. So the potential blocker for that, actually getting in bed. And so my solution for a lot of things is to set alarms or put them in your calendar. So I'm going to set an alarm at 9:55 on the 3 nights a week that I'm planning to do this goal, to remind me I've got 5 minutes, and then it's time to turn everything off and go to bed. Okay. So now I'm going to share my screen and kind of pull up these worksheets so that you can see them. Okay. Wait, I think I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Wait, where did it go? Okay. 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 I think I can see what you're seeing. Can you guys see, or see if you can just give me a yes? Oh, okay. In the chat. Okay, great. So this is the health goals worksheet. And this is what I was kind of talking about before. Like you could be sort of looking at that as I was talking through how to create goals. But down here are this scale from 1 to 10 is your readiness to change scale. So here you want to, you can identify a health related behavior that you want to change. So do you want to focus on one of those 4 pillars of health? Do you want to break it down even further into other smaller areas of change? And again, this area can be vague because it's sort of where you're starting, and then we're going to narrow it down. And so, this is again like thinking through those blockers that I mentioned, and thinking through what can get you or motivate you to a level of change where you can actually start to progress. So what would it take to move you closer to a 10? More planning, more commitment, more support, and of course you can write other things down, or you can just use this as an outline and not even use the actual worksheet or write on the worksheet, but maybe you just use these questions to help you figure out what you want to start writing your goals. Something, I didn't mention before is definitely what are the benefits of making the change? So if I do this goal, what's the benefit to me? If I do this goal of putting my phone down and getting in bed at 10 o'clock, what is the benefit to me? Well, the benefit hopefully is going to be that I'm going to sleep better. And again, like I, said, it's all cyclical. If I sleep better, I have more energy. If I have more energy, I may be able to exercise better during the week. If I exercise better during the week, it motivates me to eat a little better. And when I'm eating better, I'm sleeping better and I'm managing stress better. So, and then what barriers or what are your potential blockers and how do you overcome them? And then here is where you'll actually go in and then start setting your SMART goal. Specific, what exactly do you want to do? And you can be as specific as you need to be. Like the walking goal was what, we broke it down to even a moderate pace. So you can be as specific as you want to be. Measurable, how much, how many, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So, here are some other goals up here to kind of help get you started. And then a checklist. Once you have your goal, your SMART goal here, does it meet all of the criteria of your SMART goal? And if it doesn't, where can you make a change to make sure that it does meet everything? Okay. Oh, okay, let's see. Can I get back to my presentation? Oh, there. Okay. Okay. I have another worksheet, but actually, let me go ahead and do that one too, since I know what I'm doing. Okay. This is a goal tracker, and this is pretty rudimentary. Most people probably have apps or fitness, Google Health, Apple Health, Fitbit, those types of things. So you may not need, a pen and paper goal tracker. But I wanted to share this with you just because it is vital to make sure that you are have your goals. And when I say written, maybe it's digitally. It doesn't necessarily have to be written down, but your goal is like written out in an app, on a vision board, on a pen and paper, on a Post-it note, somewhere where you can see it and somewhere where you can track it. Because if you're not tracking your progress, how do you know if you're making progress? And also, if you're not tracking, how will you know if you need to tweak anything? So again, you can kind of fill in the blanks here with your tracker, keeping notes kind of like a journal. How do you feel throughout the process? Those are always kind of fun to help spur your motivation, or even to look back on at the end of your goal, once you've met your goal, and kind of going back and looking at maybe how you felt at the beginning versus how you feel at the end. Okay. So not necessarily an activity, but just walking you guys through how to utilize those worksheets so that you can create the goals and use the steps and processes that we just did on those earlier goals. Okay, so definitely write it down. 80% of people do not set goals. 14% have goals, but they don't write them down. So the group that does have goals but don't write them down are usually 10 times more successful than people that don't set goals for themselves. Only about 3% of people actually write down their goals, and those groups of people are 3 times more successful than the group that has goals but doesn't write them down. So bottom line is you can definitely be more successful by writing your goals down. And, I definitely, like I said, I think it's good to have your goals in a place where you can see it. So if it's an app on your phone, like I said, if you use a vision board or something like that, having it where you can see it every day. So maybe it's in your closet, or maybe it's at your bathroom mirror, or your refrigerator, or maybe it's on, the dashboard of your car. But somewhere where it's out, you're always going to see it, and it's going to help you, remind you, and to spur that motivation. So what do you do? Like, how do you stay motivated? Writing them down, using an app. Definitely staying flexible and adapt your goals as needed. So again, that's why I definitely always suggest using small time frames, 4 weeks, 30 days, 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is, to check in on your progress and kind of see where you need to make some changes. Because if the goal is absolutely overwhelming, I feel like it's better to just tweak the goal rather than discard the whole thing and say it's not working. Well, why isn't it working, and what can you change to make it a little bit better? 4 days a week of walking is too much. Instead of throwing the whole goal out, bump it down to 3 days a week. 30 minutes is too much. Bump it down to 15 or 20 minutes. Or maybe it's 15 minutes twice a day. But you can still reach your goal by tweaking your ultimate outcome, your healthier body, your lower A1C. You can definitely reach those things, even if you have to tweak your goals a little bit. Keeping your goals small and realistic to start. Focusing on the progress, not the outcome, like we talked about earlier. Creating the healthy habits and sticking to those habits is the most important thing. Staying consistent with what you're doing is how you're going to see change. And these types of things, these types of goals that we're talking about, some of these may not even be like physical things that you see. If it's a stress management type goal, or a social or mental health type goal, there may not be something like actually tangible that you can see. So thinking about rating how you feel on a scale from 1 to 5 could be maybe a way to measure your progress. If you don't have, like a number to measure against, an A1C or a weight, or, an amount of exercise that you're doing, something like that. Check in with your goals often, and then definitely create goals that are meaningful to you. This is a very unique project to take on, and it's unique and individual. And then 6 tips to succeed, to good success with your SMART goals is to network however you can. And that network is a broad term. So maybe it's joining a book club. Maybe it is, if your goal is, something along the lines of being a little bit more interactive with people or reading more during the year. Maybe joining a book club is how you network. Maybe it's joining a running club or having a group of people who have similar goals, starting some sort of Facebook community or online community. Maybe it is utilizing the Diabetes Association of Atlanta and all of the resources that you have, like networking this way. Having that growth mindset, staying positive. Like I said, when you feel like you're having a setback, looking at the setback or what you may perceive as a setback as an educational opportunity to still move forward, but move forward in a way that might work a little better for you. Hold yourself accountable, and the tracking process is definitely a way to hold yourself accountable. Lean on others for support. That kind of goes along with the networking as well. And then accept failure, but learn to adapt. And again, that just ties into that growth mindset. And, I probably shouldn't have put that in there in the way it was written. Not necessarily failure. But like I said, if your goal isn't being met exactly how it's written, that's not failure. It's an opportunity to change it and make it something that is more realistic or attainable. I hope that makes sense. Okay. This is the last slide that I have. So I know I finished up a little early, but I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask me some questions if you need to. You can definitely do that through the chat. But whatever your SMART goals are, what really matters is that you're working towards a balanced, healthy lifestyle. And like I said over and over again, healthy habits create healthy bodies, and healthy bodies have less disease risk, live longer active lives, or live active lives longer, and have better overall health. So, you may have your ultimate outcome is maybe, like I said, lowering your A1C or losing X amount of pounds. But it's the journey that gets you there that is going to really have the most impact on your health. Okay. That is all with the presentation. Like I said, I'm here for the next several minutes to help with any questions that you may have. And feel free to type in the chat. Thank you. I know a lot of this can be a little overwhelming. Like I said, a lot of the times our goals are very vague. Like I want to exercise more, or, I want to eat less sugar. But if you're not being very specific about it, then it's, like I said, it's kind of hard to stay on track. Oh, thank you. So yeah, taking the time to really dig into, what motivates you and what are your potential barriers so that you can figure out how to overcome your hurdle. Does exercising at night have more benefits? So honestly, there have been studies that have shown different things, different types of exercise, different times of day. In all honesty, any time that you can fit it in that makes sense for your schedule and for you is a good time and is going to have benefits. So if exercising at night, even if a study came out and said it's better to, which actually I don't know. I'm honestly, I don't know what time of day is best. I've read articles, but I'm not as well versed on that particular time of day for exercise. But what I usually tell people when I'm working with them is that again, you kind of have to make sure that your goals are attainable and realistic. And if getting up at 5 a.m. Is unrealistic for you, then setting a goal of exercising at 5 a.m. just because you read an article that said that may be a good time to do it, but you're not a morning person or it's a struggle for you to do that. If that's hindering your goal setting or your progress, then it's better and you're going to have more benefit because you'll be able to stick to a plan to exercise whenever it makes sense for you during the day. What I would suggest is figuring out when you're looking at your schedule on, let's say you want to exercise 4 or 5 days a week, what time fits on what particular days? Does it make sense with your schedule to do it in the morning on a Monday and maybe in the evening on a Thursday or something like that? But any exercise that you do, any movement that you do is going to have good benefits. And so figuring out the time of day that makes sense for you so that you can stick to the habit is what is really going to, I know that probably didn't really answer your question, but you're welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Linda. If no one has any more questions, I think we can end it here. Um, that's a lovely presentation, Linda. Um,
Thank you.
new insights on SMART goals. Um, but thank you everyone for joining us. Like I said, if you want to have access to the video, this recording, it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel tomorrow. You can share with friends and family, anyone who is currently struggling with setting new goals and how to achieve them. Thank you, Elizabeth. Remember, Wow Wednesday is every fourth Wednesday of the month. Just keep an eye out on our socials, our website, and you'll see who our next speaker will be and our next topic. We will have more exciting speakers and exciting topics to talk about on diabetes management and healthy nutrition. So, yeah, just stay tuned. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a lovely night. Get some rest and